Hi there, a little bit of background here. My name is Jonathan, and I run the website bogleech.com, which, among a few other things, I guess, is largely dedicated to my personal favorite hobby and fixation in life, which is creature design. I have reviewed probably thousands of monsters and ghosts and demons and cryptids and kaiju and Pokemon and Digimon and even a great deal of real animals, real world biology on the site, which admittedly was my original career goal in life, but I guess I got a little sidetracked, and that's okay. That's fine. But anyway, the first such thing that I ever reviewed on a website of my own was this very video game, Abadox. And I've always wanted to revisit it in more detail since, but I wanted to do so in a special way, in a way I've never done before. So this is going to be the very first time I will have ever played a video game on a video of any sort, but it is not a Let's Play, nor is it necessarily a review of the game. What we are doing here, if you're not familiar with what I do over on Bogleech, is we are going to observe and analyze every creature that inhabits this setting. And as a creature design analysis, we are also not going to harm any of them as we make it through this game. We are going to use a combination of save states and the in-game invincibility cheat to basically be, I guess, naturalists in this scenario. We are peaceful visitors to this beautiful, thriving biome that we are about to witness. So, anyway, the storyline of this game is that Abadox is actually the name of a planet. Just an ordinary planet, well, people living on it, whatever. Or there were people living on it, I'm sorry, until very recently when that planet was completely engulfed and consumed by a spacefaring organism known as Parasitus. Obviously, a lot of people are dead, or dying, or in need of help, but apparently we aren't supposed to care about any of them because this guy, whose name by the way is Lieutenant Nasal, has been deployed to rescue no more than a single intergalactic princess. Yeah, we're just supposed to dig one aristocrat out of this thing's guts, and you know, we're not. We're not doing that. I don't care. I'm not getting involved in that. But but just look at the detail here. Look at this. Right off the bat, these are incredible graphics for a, 1989 Nintendo Entertainment System title. We've got like this cross section of the organism's flesh, a layer of skin, and some kind of nervous tissue, veins, arteries, and just look at that starship crashed in the background, already getting encrusted with biomass. That is cool for the very first thing you see in this game. That is ominous. And right here we have our very first local fauna to talk about. These flying giant eyeballs. Big fan of disembodied eyeballs, by the way. I've always been. And this game delivers a lot of disembodied eyeballs. And this first example is interesting to me for its behavior. They just fly straight forward until they pass by you and just kind of, they gun for you. Not very well. You don't have to move or do anything to really avoid these poor little guys. But they're trying. They're doing their best. Um, that behavior will also be kind of interesting in light of some enemies that are coming up in just another moment. But right here is this blue thing here with the rocket on the back of it. That is what the manual calls a scorpion for whatever reason. And if we destroy the scorpion, we get a power-up of some kind, a weapon or a shield, which we are not going to do, as I explained. The scorpion it isn't even looking at us. It's minding its own business. I am not hassling the wildlife just for a bigger gun. But now we have two more creatures already. And if you look at the one flying through the sky, it's just a mouth. And that's what I was saying about the eyeballs earlier. The eyeballs flew forward until they saw you and aimed for you. That's all they can do. They're eyeballs. The flying mouth, on the other hand, is programmed to just fly in a sine wave while continuously chomping. So it doesn't have eyes. It doesn't have anything other than a mouth. So of course, it just kind of blindly bites its way through the air, hoping to bump into something that it can feed upon, which is even kind of a strategy some real organisms have in environments where there isn't any light to gather for them to navigate. Also, maybe you already noticed this little creature on the ground beneath us, kind of just another disembodied eyeball. But this one, if you'll notice, it rolls back and forth on the surface of Parasitus, gathering up skin cells until it's large enough that it can just launch those into the air as projectile weapons. They didn't need to animate it that way. They could have given it, any generic bullets in this game, but someone had a clear concept of what this creature does and how it interacts with this environment, and I think that's really cool. I really like the little skin collecting eye. I don't know if it's doing that, to defend itself or if it intends to, like knock prey out of the air. I think that would warrant further study, if you ask me. But I'm just rescuing the princess, and then there's purple pterodactyls. Purple pterodactyl. I don't have an explanation for the purple pterodactyls. You encounter them only twice in the entire game, in this very stage. Both times it's a pair of pterodactyls. So I'm gonna gather from that the purple pterosaurs of Parasitus are a monogamous species. They mate for life. It's beautiful. And finally, we have the last new minor enemy of this stage, the flying skull with a visible brain. And if you remember, the eyeballs couldn't do anything but kind of like look straight ahead and then change direction. The mouths couldn't do anything but chomp around wildly through the air. But the skulls with the brains, obviously they're the smartest, so they actually, they can navigate around. They swing back to try and get you, and their projectiles, their little green bullets, are actually aimed at you. I just really like the progression of those three, body part creatures in this first stage. I just think this game is full of very, very intriguing, very fun little details and ideas like that. But that's about it for the. There's another more pterodactyls. That's it for this first stage already, basically, or at least this half of what is considered the first stage, because we have a mini boss, or what the manual refers to as a guardian of Parasitus, and this guardian is known as Bao, B-A-U, although the intention is, like bow wow, like a dog, because this is literally supposed to be a giant skeletal dog. And, if you look, let me pause here, on the back of Bao is this lovely little eyeball with its very own little mouth. At least I think that's a little mouth. If you look when Bao is at rest, and I don't know if that's supposed to be, you know, a separate organism kind of manipulating the dog corpse, or if perhaps Parasitus itself kind of reassembled this dog in a a very incorrect fashion. But one thing that is for certain is that Bao is a very good girl. She is trying her very best to stop what we're doing. She's protecting her master, which is also her planet. Maybe also it's her. I don't know if there's like a hive mind going on, but she's a good dog, and we are not going to hurt her. Anyway, the second half of this stage is considered to be Parasitus's mouth, which, by my estimate, should probably be about the size of North America. But yeah, who cares? It's a game, whatever. Just look at these first new enemies, though. These little, watch them carefully. They're gonna flip inside out. Look at that. That's great. They're like little squid flowers. Little squid flowers that only exist just inside Parasitus's mouth. I think that's an interesting environment for this particular creature here. Although one thing I always wondered was whether these little guys are cyclopses or they just have a single eye to each side. I mean, are we seeing them from the side or are we seeing them head on? I don't know. I don't even know which one I would prefer design-wise. I think they're both good. But what's really good is this next enemy we are about to see. This wonderful little leaping little arthropod here. These definitely only have one eye apiece. They also have these great little jagged smiles and just a single pair of grasshopper legs. It's a great design. I feel like it's really iconic to this game. And what I think is especially interesting about them is that they are exclusively encountered in between the teeth. These are like tooth cleaning mutual symbiotes here. Little tooth cleaners. And you'll also notice that their jumps are timed and programmed so that they kind of exactly leap through the spaces you're supposed to be in order to not die on the teeth. Which is, pretty frustrating if you're playing this for real. We're lucky that we're just filthy cheaters here, honestly. This game gets pretty intense as we go along. But then we have what the manual refers to as the bone crushers. So, they were even considering that this monster would require both slashing, tearing fangs and these grinders for all the bone and shell and starship hull and all the crunchy stuff, crunchy bits. And one more thing though, look at these fat deposits down here. These slimy yellow fat cells. Again, gorgeous attention to detail all throughout this game. And already we are at the final boss of the mouth, whose name is Deathface. And you can't argue with that. That is a death face if I have ever seen one. And I love this attack he has, where these, like, what are these? They're like transparent purple eyeballs. They're like ghost eyeballs. They just kind of emerge from the sockets. And if you kill them, Deathface will continue producing them. But again, we are not doing that. We are not hurting. We are not hurting any of these guys. Deathface has done no wrong that we know of. We are the intruder. We are the intruders here. We are guests in his home. And I for one am not I'm not an inconsiderate guest. So we're gonna leave him to whatever it is he does when he's not doing whatever this is. Now we're in the throat of Parasitus, or what the manual refers to as a muscular canal. The perspective has changed, as you may have noticed. Every stage in this game actually alternates between side-scrolling and a top-down view, which I guess is to further drive home the fact that you are delving deeper into this organism. And the very first enemies in the throat are these flying eyeballs here, completely different from the first stage flying eyeballs. Real hairy, kind of brain textured little guys. I really love them. Kind of remind me of very large paramecia. Not sure what is supposed to be going on with these like blue metal pieces that kind of fly off of the AC units there. I don't know. Maybe the idea was it was supposed to look like these starship pieces were in the process of breaking down and being swallowed or something. We've also got these flying skulls, and if you shoot the skull, the red tail will keep flying forward. So you do have to watch out for that if you are the type of bastard that comes in here guns blazing on the local wildlife. Uh, Also, right at this point, we should be seeing one of the few named enemies in the game. There it is, the Lizard of Doom, according to the manual. Lizard of Doom lives in the muscular canal. Check out the scurrying, though. Whoever animated this lizard had definitely seen a number of geckos in their day to get that perfect scuttle down. And we've also got these enemies that are just referred to as spores, but I love these things. Look at them. They're like Martian heads. They're like just green faces that just kind of grow there in the wall of this monster's throat and spew fungal spores at us. That is weird. And finally, we have the Hands of Death. Yeah, there's Lizards of Doom and Hands of Death. And just like that, we're also at the guardian of this stage, kind of a parasitic worm thing in the throat, or if you really look at it, it's kind of just a chain of eyeballs. Look at that! Look at those little eyeballs. Look how they just kind of jitter and jiggle around. I love that. And they're just loosely connected enough that I feel like maybe we're actually seeing more than one organism here. Maybe this is kind of a colonial chain of eyeball creatures, kind of the siphonophore of Parasitus's oculoid fauna. Like like maybe the head end is one organism, and each segment is a few more kind of eye polyps, and maybe the end there is like I don't know. They probably each have a different role, a different role in the colony, and they're trying very hard, just like Bao, to stop what we're doing, but You know, we're not doing anything wrong either. We're not here to cause trouble. We're not breaking up this happy family here. The rest of the throat is basically all the same content as the first half, but in a much narrower space. This is incredibly difficult if you're playing this without a cheat. I used to rent this game repeatedly when I was a kid, and I don't think I ever got farther than maybe roughly like right where we are now almost. This level slew me and would probably still slay me even to this day. But at least it's pretty. It's really pretty. I mean, this pulsating, twitching flesh. I mean, this whole entire stage is 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 throbbing, and I have rarely seen that in games of this period. They really pushed this little cartridge to the limit, I think, graphically. And this is only the second stage too. But now we're approaching the final boss of the throat. And the first thing that sticks out to you, obviously, is the thing that we're supposed to actually fight, the eyeball here in the ground. It is an eyeball in a mouth, which is always pretty novel in my book. And I love how you can kind of see the white of the eye through right here, like through the transparent tissue of the fanged sac before us. I think that's very nice looking. But if you look over here, this appears to be a face. And then, and then there's ribs here, not very high resolution ribs, but ribs, and I'm not going to question what this is supposed to represent at this point, but yeah, this is actually a huge humanoid figure kind of completely melded into Parasitus's throat tissue. And it's composed enough of the environmental tissues we've already seen that I think if you are playing this game, the legitimate way and focusing on, avoiding all these shots, it's pretty likely that you might actually miss the actual design of this boss. You might never even notice that this is a person over here. And I think that's really cool, actually, that this design is so subtle compared to some of the others that you can actually overlook that it's even there. But as usual, we don't want we don't want to injure or even, significantly stress this poor whatever whatever it is. This next stage is what the manual refers to as a forest of blue nerves. Personally, I always really liked that. I always liked that they were thinking of this as like their forest stage aesthetically. And I always loved this beginning where you're just kind of surrounded by these pink and purple amoeba that to me kind of give the impression of, like butterflies swarming through this supposed forest inside of this massive alien. That's a really cool image. But we also have these botanical enemies here to kind of drive that theme. Another really great design. I like the eyeballs in those fleshy little petals there. The bright green, scaly looking stems. I don't know what these things are photosynthesizing, if anything. I guess maybe there are. I guess there are other reasons something would be green. They're probably not even plant life, honestly. And then we also have these little blue eyeballs that just kind of spin around and bounce off the walls. So many eyeballs in this game, which Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. The quality of any work, I think, always parallels the number of disembodied eyeballs present. Though, looks like they also kind of threw some sea creatures at us here, doesn't it? It's kind of like they were thinking of this as both their like forest stage and their like water stage in a way, especially when we get to the Guardian shortly. But yeah, we've got some kind of like skeletal fish that also sort of look like trilobites a little bit. And then we have these stripy, like, kind of like sandworm fetus creatures. And if you shoot one of those, a bunch of little tiny little protozoa will kind of fly out of them. Again, kind of moth or butterfly like the way they kind of flutter around. But we're not going to do that. Obviously, we can't do that without killing one of them. And we're not here to cause trouble. We're here to smell the flowers, including these little anemone polyps here. I love these. It's another enemy that evokes plant life without actually probably being plant life, but it also kind of evokes a marine organism. This really is kind of like simultaneously they're like forest and ocean level here in the nervous system, including this giant kind of shark creature as the guardian. And I love that skeleton fish body. And is it just me, or is there an eyeball both in the mouth and just a little bit deeper in the throat? I don't know. That's pretty strange anatomy going on there. I can't even speculate as to what that would be for. But yeah, beautiful animal. Beautiful animal in a beautiful environment. We are just gonna move right on to the latter half of this stage, and it's interesting because according to the manual, now we are in the brain, and you'd think that the brain of Parasitus would be like the final stage, wouldn't you? Like the end game, attack and kill the brain, but no, we're just passing through. We got here directly from the esophagus. Though actually, you know what? You know what? The esophagus of an octopus does pass right through the middle of its brain. So there you go. There you go. This is normal. An octopus is normal, and Parasitus is normal. And one thing I wonder though, every time I think about this game in terms of biology and whatnot, I gotta wonder which of these organisms are actually beneficial to their host and which are detrimental or just kind of along for the ride. Because let me pause here because we're about to come to the final boss of the brain. But just a quick note. A lot of people are under the impression that if something lives in your body and is harmful, it's what you call a parasite. But if it's beneficial, it's what you call a symbiote. And that actually isn't true. We can blame basically comic books and science fiction for that common misunderstanding. A parasite is in fact a type of symbiote. Symbiosis refers to any relationship between any obligatory relationship between two species. That is to say, any case in which one species has to depend on another species for its survival, whether that is positive or negative. So A negative relationship where only one species benefits, that is parasitic symbiosis. The beneficial kind, where both species are benefiting, is known as mutualism, or a mutual symbiote. And I guess you can see um, why science fiction chose to just stick with the word symbiote, because it doesn't have the same ring to it when you're like, oh, watch out, Spider-Man, here comes Carnage, the mutualist. It don't work. It doesn't work. But yeah, um, Parasite, bad kind of symbiote. Mutualist is the good kind of symbiote. And there's a third variety called a commensal, which is just a freeloader. Doesn't do anything either way. But here is the final boss of the brain, and look how terrifying this thing is. Can you imagine from our protagonist's perspective what this looks like? This huge human, or quasi-human face staring straight down at you from the ceiling, and it is not blinking, it's not breathing, it's just staring straight down. Not even at you, actually. It's just, ugh, God. It's unpleasant. And you'll notice nothing is happening other than more of those little cells are coming after me. That is because the true boss reveals itself only when we fire on the chest there, and I'm trying to avoid hurting the little guys. There it is. Ooh, look at that. Just like that last final boss of the esophagus. We've got another eyeball creature that is integrated with a humanoid stomach, and we've even got the ribs showing again. Gruesome. We just watched this huge eyeball just rip its way out of this enormous torso. That is something else. I freaking love this game. I love these designs. And once again, whatever the hell is going on here, we're gonna leave it at that. We're gonna keep on trucking. It's fine. He's fine. Everything is fine. We are now in the stomach of Parasitus. But instead of talking about any of the other enemies just yet, we are going to slow this game down and try to make sure you can see this thing. What just happened? What was that? A blue sphere flew at me, and I broke it open with my gun, and this little buddy came out. This little thing. It's like kind of got like a little teddy bear shape almost, little googly eyes, and like a kind of a little underbite with fangs, I guess. There's only a few of these in the whole game. At least one in every stage until the end, but easy to miss. And if you do break the orb open and get your little pal hugging onto you, you are significantly slowed down. Your gun is weakened, and you also, most frustratingly, you can't rise up any higher in the stage than we currently are. We cannot back to the top of the screen. This little fella's just kind of holding us down. And unfortunately, we can't just continue that way because this will actually break our playthrough if we keep this little guy all the way until the boss. So we are just going to reload that save state, and we are going to avoid him this time. Right over here. Speed it back up. And yeah, so that was the little huggy man, whatever the hell that is. Kind of overshadows everything else we're seeing here. Really, I mean, we just got these amoeba cells, whatever these are. Although that's not fair. That's not fair. There's some pretty interesting stuff here. I mean, like the ball of brain tissue for one, careening around the stomach. I know mine does on occasion. And then we've got what the manual calls the stomach crabs. These are really cool looking. And what's also really cool about them is that also, according to the manual, is that those single-celled organisms we just saw, they pulverize prey somehow for the stomach crabs. That's in the manual's own words. They pulverize prey so the stomach crabs can crunch away. I guess the rhyme that they taught you in high school biology. The parasitus chapter. But yeah, I think that's really interesting. It's kind of like the crabs are kind of like an integrated part of parasitus's digestive system, I guess. Maybe not so much that worm though. That I think that is just, a parasite. I think that's just a no good freeloader. And it's another one of my favorite designs in the game though, because look at its its little chicken wing legs on its segments there. That's adorable. I love that. And those huge googly eyes. Look at that. Just it's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And interestingly enough, that head with the huge eyes kind of looks a lot like the head of a tapeworm. Although on a tapeworm, what look like massive round eyes are actually suckers that the worm uses to anchor itself to the wall of the intestine. So that seems to be exactly what this organism is doing here, and it probably uses the little like crab claw end, to snatch food for itself before the stomach crabs can process it for parasitus. But yeah, that's basically all the enemies in this area until we get to its guardian here, which is the king stomach crab, according to the manual. Very cool design. Again, really does look like a much more advanced version of the stomach crabs, especially the presence of an eye there. Um, but if you're a fan of Digimon by any chance, this design might look a little bit familiar to you. I mean, it looks familiar to me. It reminds me of Parasamon. And I don't say that kind of thing lightly. I hate when people are like, "Oh, this was obviously inspired by or ripped off this and this because like the wing here has the same polka dot on it, whatever." But I've seen a lot of creature designs, obviously, and this is one of the only ones with this exact anatomical plan besides Parasamon, the parasite Digimon. They both have kind of a fat arachnoid body with a chomping mouth on one end and a single eyeball on the other end. And then there's the fact that it's Parasamon. It's a parasitic themed Digimon. I really don't know if that's coincidence. It very well could be. I'm leaning towards it being coincidence, but it's still a very cool coincidence to me. Parasamon is one of my favorite Digimon, and this is one of my favorite classic video game mini bosses. The King Crab, who, you know, once again is doing no wrong whatsoever. We're the ones who charged right into his kingdom, and we're sorry. We're very sorry to His Majesty. No disrespect. Let's just see ourselves out. The next half of the stomach is very short and very uneventful until we get to the stomach's final boss. And this boss comes very, very hyped. The manual, the back of the box, the advertising that went into this game all talked about this monstrosity coming up, and you're gonna see why, because this is killer. This is one of the coolest things I ever saw on the NES, and we are even going to turn the soundtrack on for once. Wherever the heck that was. Audio. Let's turn that right on there. Cause it would have, trust me, you would not have wanted the music to keep starting and stopping and starting and stopping uh while I keep pausing and prattling on like this. But this is the only part of the game in which the music ever stops for any length of time. And you need to you need to hear it first to appreciate the atmosphere they were going for with this encounter. This is really cool. How about that? Just that pulsating. Just everything goes quiet and you just hear that throbbing in the dark. That is frightening, and you can already see something is coming, or rather we are approaching something. And this is called the Cilia Monster. Look at that. Look at that beautiful mouth detail. The ring of fangs, the perspective on it, the way they flare open like that. I love that. Just wonderful animation. Love the pulsation of the entire thing, the little gasping orifices all over it, the eyeballs twitching around, and of course the giant cilia that it's named for. Just a absolutely magnificent specimen, this Cilia Monster. Or is it Cilia Monsters here? When I was younger and I saw this, I think in a magazine, because I never got this far. My impression, for whatever reason, was that the Cilia Monster had broken in half and was beginning to regenerate, hence the eyeball here and what looks like these kind of like torn, ragged ends. Although I think they just did this so that you had the option of, switching which side of the monster you were traversing. The other possibility, however, is that there are in fact two Cilia monsters, maybe another, kind of like a monogamous species, mates for life, very romantic, very beautiful. But in any case, there is a completely different head on the other end here. A totally different personality going on. Look at his little smile. Look at that. This Cilia monster is having a great time here, and look at the detail of the eyelid right there. The way the flesh deforms and stretches around that eye is just so well done. Sorry I paused a little longer than I meant to there. this has got to be a really obnoxious review for some people. There's the pausing and my mouth noises. I'm so sorry. I've never done this before. I have never done anything like this before. I am a total amateur. I don't know which pronunciation you find less annoying. I'm really trying not to be annoying. But anyway, we said earlier that those little do you remember the little huggy critter, the little thing that like grabbed onto us and I said it was going to break the game? This is the point at which that happens, because if you have the invincibility enabled, the little huggy guy actually shares that with you. Uh, he becomes completely indestructible, and you cannot get rid of him. And if you also recall, he limited your ability to move up and down on the screen. So if you make it to this boss with the little huggy fella, and you're invincible, you're going to be stuck like right around here, completely incapable of turning around or backing up to actually fight the Cilia Monster, and you have no choice but to reset from there. And so we're just lucky we never had any intention to harm a single Cilia on this, this precious gem of Mother Nature. Skipping ahead to the next stage, we are immediately greeted by a brand new variety of eyeball creature. Although these eyeballs are rocket propelled, they are cyber eyeballs. They're cyballs, and that is because we are about to see the remains of the starship that the princess was occupying. Remember, we're here to just rescue a princess. Supposedly she was devoured by parasitus while aboard a hospital vessel. So that's what this is. This is the hospital getting integrated into parasitus, I guess. And already, there's some pretty wrong stuff here. Look at that robot. That robot probably should not have meat on it. And then you've got these little purple alien guys. And check out those little guys. Watch the little purple guy. His head has their heads fly out. They got rocket heads. Rocket heads. But oh yeah, now we're in a side-scrolling level, so you can see just how overjoyed the little guy is. The little huggy boy. The little hugging man. And there's another one. We got two of them now. Let's get a third one in here. And he's yeah, we can barely move. But we are loved. Unfortunately, too loved to progress once again, because we cannot get rid of those little guys, and they will make things very, very difficult. So once again, we are going to reset and just give him the slip past the little huggy boys. But yeah, look at those friggin' like proximity mines with the mouths on them, just gibbering gibbering away. What? Why does a bomb need a mouth? What is that for? It's a, it's a shame. It's a shame they just kind of blow up on their own. I'm not going to count that as having killed them personally. But yeah, here's the mid boss for the hospital ship, and check that out. These guys are they're our guys, or they used to be. They've got the same exact armor, presumably standards to the galactic military, but as you can see, they've got these elongated xenomorph head kind of helmets going on with eyeball visors. So they are not on our side anymore. They have been like possessed and repurposed by Parasitus, I guess. Interestingly, if you kill any one of them, the other two explode. It's not that they're like it's not like only one of them is real and the other two are illusions. No, you can kill any of the three and just all three explode. It's like they're linked together somehow. Or like a hive mind or something. I don't know. But I mean, arguably maybe it would be like the right thing to like put them down in this scenario, like put them out of their misery or something. But yeah, I mean, we can't assume that they are unhappy. They're fine. They could just be fine. They're fine. They're having a good time. They're pals. We're just gonna leave them to it, plug along here, and admire how the deeper you go into the hospital ship, the more corroded and infested everything is. Look at the blood and grime caking everything. That is, again, just fantastic attention to detail. Just all these little things that they that really come together to bring Parasitus to life as a as a living environment, like I was saying before. The progression of its digestive processes, the symbioses going on. This game really was. This was it was kind of a science fiction concept first, and a game second. Even compared to a lot of other games of its type from this period, this one feels more realized to me as a cohesive little world. And unfortunately, this is the most boring boss. Even as I say that, it is just. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to shoot it in the face. We are still even robots. We are not murdering even robots, even boring robots. It's just I feel like there was just maybe a missed opportunity here to put like a flesh monster of some kind in the robot, that especially when the head flies off. That would have been a perfect opportunity to have an eyeball, a tentacle eyeball come out of the neck hole and spit something at you. You know, you'd think in this game of all games. But once again, we're just gonna let this robot carry on. We didn't see nothing. No harm done. With that, we are now in the very final stage of Abadox, like the deepest, most digested depths of the hospital vessel. Not a lot of enemies here I can actually review, though. I mean, most of them are robots, and to be perfectly frank, we are naturalists here. We are not engineers. I'm sure they're very nice robots, but I mean, I'm not even seeing meat on those things. There's nothing. There's nothing for me here. There's no meat on the robots. Meatless robots, not interested. There are, however, these bizarre, like, energy birds. I don't know what is up with those. And what almost looks like a fourth one here is kind of an interesting little surprise. Check this out. It's a ghost. A ghost down here in the the giant space monster. Man, consider where we are and everything we've seen, and one of the very last enemies this game throws at us is this little trick or treat phantom here. How about that? I love it though. I love the implication that, on top of everything else, this place is haunted. It's ridiculous, but it is also incredibly cool, and it's actually also kind of actually horrifying. We're in a spaceship that is being digested, which is already a really messed up situation when you think about it. And and the cherry on top is that the souls of the crew have yet to move on. But okay, I lied. There is another enemy here I can get into, and that is these like giant rotting cyborg heads. I mean, look at that. Look at the eyeball just like hanging out of the socket, and the like drips of corroded metal. What is that? Where did that come from? If you shoot one of those decomposing robot heads, that little yellow brain in there will actually float out and behave exactly like the Huggy Man, the little Huggy guys, which you'll notice that the little Huggy Man eggs are also in this stage. So, I guess Parasitus is just making every possible effort to just like, snuggle us to death. There's another. You didn't tell me there'd be ghosts. Wow, it's starting to seem like a bad idea. Yeah. Anyway, though, mid Guardian of the final stage is actually pretty disappointing. I mean, I know I hyped up eyeballs a lot earlier, but we've seen this, we've seen eyeballs, a lot of eyeballs. Maybe in the first stage, this might have been impressive, but for the final stage, I gotta say, Parasitus is running out of ideas. I'm sorry. Really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, bud. No offense. No offense to these eyeballs. Just their placement is anticlimactic in the game, I think. 0-5 for the order of these bosses, not necessarily for their designs. Sorry. Really sorry. I take it back. No, I love every one of these eyeballs. You say anything bad about these eyeballs, I will. All right, where was I? Yeah. So now we're in the second half of the final stage, and they're not going to throw any new enemies at us here, but as we approach the final boss, I want you to imagine how you would feel if you were a kid playing this game and you have busted your little ass to get to this point. I mean, I don't know how many people in the world ever possibly even could have made it this far without cheating. But you've been through so much to make it this far, and maybe you actually care about this princess you're supposed to rescue. Maybe you're excited to, defeat the evil Parasitus and rescue this space princess. See what all the hype is about, and um, you're in for kind of a shock here, unfortunately, because there is your princess. There she is. She is the final boss of this entire game, and at the time, that was shocking. That was an incredible twist. A twist that not that many people got to see, but I'm sure all three of them were pretty mind blown for this era. And it's not it's not really the most dramatic design in the game. I mean, the Cilia Monster was pretty high up there, but it's solid. It's pretty cool. It's this bizarre kind of like a scorpion alien head. It's got these chitinous kind of like pincer tentacles and very, very unsettling mouth. In fact, I never ever noticed in over a couple decades, I never noticed the detail in the corner of the mouth until doing this video. So, congrats, I guess, on getting that into a Nintendo game. but but yeah, this kind of clinches what you've probably already suspected about what we've seen all through this game, and that's that anything that looked human or partly human, the death faces and the hands of death and the death hands and face hands and whatnot, they were human. They were people from the planet Abadox or otherwise who were not only consumed by this monster, but kind of reanimated and reconstructed towards the organism's purposes. This isn't even a super organism. This is like an ultra organism. This is a colonial life form capable of absorbing and assimilating any other life form in the universe into that colony. Finding a place for it to function towards its defenses or its biological processes. And from a hypothetical scientific perspective, from a speculative biology perspective, that is mind-blowing. That is amazing. That's incredible. And what sucks though is that if you defeat this boss, the princess just kind of she just kind of pops out of there. She floats out in a bubble, and you take off with her into space, and the whole damn thing explodes behind you. Yeah, the whole Parasitus, everything on it, every living soul therein, just up in flames as you rip out the load bearing princess. And I hate to say this, but I don't think that's worth it. I'm not doing that. I mean, what about all the other people? What about who was Deathface? And who was the Cilia Monster? Was it always a Cilia Monster, or was it some alien life form that was just swallowed up by this thing, turned into something else? We didn't save any of them. We didn't. What's the deal? You know, we, I actually, I know what it is, and you know what it is. Rich parents. She's royalty. Mom and dad probably involved in, the space military. That's all it is. It's all it is. It's the politics of money. And frankly, I am not going to exterminate this one-of-a-kind biome for a single aristocrat. I'm not. Nobody should. I mean, it's not like she's dead. You know, this is a living thing that is before us, clearly. And technically speaking, she is safe. You know, from further. I mean, we know where she is, and nothing else is coming in here to mess with her anytime soon. She is safe and secure, as is. She's got plenty of ghosts, and she's fine. Okay? She's fine.